Hey everybody, I'm Mikey Andersen, and this is Fantasy Avenue, where each week we talk about everything you need to know in the world of fantasy football.
Yeah, it's Fantasy Avenue with Mikey Andersen. What's up? What's up, Ka? We're back with another episode. Just want to give a quick shout out to the people that have been talking about my podcast this week. Finn, my boy, you will get on the podcast soon. Don't doubt it. You're getting on here. I'm shouting you out now, so you better. The only way you get on the podcast, bro, is if you talk about me talking about you right now. So that's gonna have to happen. Zatari, you're only mad because you don't have Tank Dell, and so the fact that I spent 2 minutes talking about him last time, well, that you would have loved that 2 minutes if you actually had him. So sorry, Zatari. And Cooper McGovern, I appreciate you listening to the pod while playing Fortnite. That's something I haven't heard from anybody, from any of the other football boys that have been listening to the podcast, that I also appreciate. But while playing Fortnite is an interesting one, and I just want to say I appreciate y'all for talking about that this week with me. That's my little update. What is up, everybody? It's Fantasy Avenue, your road to fantasy football victory. I'm Mikey Andersen, your driver to fantasy football victory. It's time to lock in, and get set, and get ready. And holy guaca-frickin-moly, I just looked at my fantasy team for the first time, and I got 165 points, beat out Nip Tuck Rule by 1.5 points. Suck my nuts, bro. Absolutely carried by all my good players. Josh Allen, who I was going to trade away, just took me the dub. That audio, I'm looking at my audio right now. That's going to be a real hard one for the ears right there. But what a good week of fantasy football. Josh Allen with 44. Josh Jacobs finally decides to show up. And Brandon Ayuk gets me his inconsistent 20 points. And I take home the W in that league, which is awesome, I'm actually one of the highest scoring teams of the week. I might just be the highest scoring team of the week, which is just awesome. I am. Frick yeah, I am. Frick yeah, I am. And in this other league, it looks like I'm going to win. Frick yeah. Let's go to my other league, because frick yeah, if I can win all 4 leagues, that'd be the first time I've done that all year. Oh, it's not looking amazing in that league. Or I have a chance to win in all 4 leagues, guys. This is being recorded on Monday. If you're listening to it on a different day, that's why I'm unsure. And I'm going to stop talking in this voice because it's getting a little annoying. But basically, I'm a freaking beast at fantasy football, and that's proof of why you should listen to me, because I'm a freaking unit. I'm in 4 leagues, and I'm almost about to win all 4. I might not, but I might. So yeah, I'm a pretty big deal. Let's get into some fantasy updates. One being Cooper Kupp. He's coming back from injury. Oh, frick yeah, he is. I'm going to need him back on my team big time. It was a good week of NFL football, I want to give a quick shout out to the Denver Broncos, a team I said I was not going to talk about ever if they lost this weekend. Well, they were down 21 points in the third quarter, and they came back and actually won the game. So they've kept my faith a little bit longer. I know nobody cares on this podcast about the Broncos, except for me. And you know what? I'm the one recording the podcast, so I can kind of talk about what I want to talk about today, because we don't have a guest on the podcast this week. So I can basically just go on tangents about whatever I want. And you, the listeners, are just kind of screwed to listen to it. Thank you guys for putting up with me, because I appreciate it. Another big news. I was actually the announcer for the freshman Gallatin football game this week. The guy was like, first down, 5-yard carry by number 43. Blah, blah, blah. I was that guy. It was sick. I went, I just got asked to do it. Ended up doing it. Another thing, kind of like the podcast, just doing it for fun, doing it because I like to talk about sports and whatever. That was a cool experience. I got a little bit of feedback. I wasn't talking in quite an interesting enough voice, so I'm going to work on that as well. And I'm going to work on making this the most entertaining 20 minutes of your life. So sit back, pop open a cold one, a cold glass of water now. Don't get too crazy on me. Pop open a cold one, sit back, grab a pillow, and listen to a nice podcast. Let's go. Number one thing in the episode, besides the awesome NFL week, was the awesome fantasy players. We're going to get right into that off the bat. I really want to talk about 3 players in specific. Now, why 3, you may ask? Oh, no reason. Just might because they're the most 3 baller players in the league that are unpicked up. I really want to try to start doing this thing because this is the most important information I can give you. Who do you want to pick up for next week? So I'm just going to start by doing this. I'm just going to start by, like, which players should you pick up, right? Because I mean, people care about, the top scorers, but who you should care about is the frickin' ballers. And I'll tell you the frickin' ballers. My number one baller of the week, my number one pickup that you can get is running back David Montgomery on the Lions. Now, this guy is not going to be a guy that's going to be available in your leagues, but if you can get a trade for him, I would say after this week. Now, this is a little bit of fantasy knowledge for you. It's hard to trade for a player right after I had a good week, even though everybody in the whole world wants him, right? And that's why it's hard to trade for. Now, a guy like David Montgomery, I think is in for a good season, but he won't have he scored 37. I don't believe he's going to have another 37-point game, but I think he's going to have a good season. And that's why I'm thinking trade for him next week. Now, you may ask why. Well, because the price is going to be too high this week. Nobody wants to trade a player from their team that just scored 37. Nobody. But if next week he drops 10, falls back to earth a little bit, as long as he's doing okay, he's still a prime trading option. The reason I love him so much is because he's a workhorse. If you don't know what that means, then maybe you need to get to work, okay? Because I know what a workhorse is, even though I don't work. That's actually cap. I worked at a summer camp the past 3 years of my life. It's actually a theater camp. Some might make fun of me for it, but you know what? It doesn't pay me, so make fun of that instead, okay? No, in all seriousness, it's a theater camp, but it's really just a summer camp that has cool people, and I like to hang out with. Those are actually the people that were on the podcast doing the draft. It's a nice atmosphere. You might ask, am I getting paid? No, it's community hours, but I'm getting paid next year because I got promoted. Anyway, so I do know a thing about working, even though most of my friends like Miles Weber tell me that I need to get a job. Well, I worked 8 hours a day with kids my entire summer, a month of the summer. I know what work is, and let me tell you, David Montgomery knows what work is too. A workhorse running back is somebody who gets the ball all the time. David Montgomery, let me pull up the stats. I believe he got over 32 carries. If I know a workhorse running back when I see one, it's that. A running back getting 30 carries in a game is unheard of. A guy touching the ball, some NFL quarterbacks don't touch the ball 30. Well, that's cap. Some NFL quarterbacks don't throw the ball 30 times in a game. Imagine a running back running the ball, especially when there's two good running backs on the Lions. And that's what makes David Montgomery a little bit interesting. Because he shouldn't be this good. He shouldn't be the workhorse, but he is. And that's why I love him so much. Because the Lions are making a choice to stick with David Montgomery, and I'm all here for it. He is my number one ad of this week. My number two ad of this week. Somebody a little bit lesser known, maybe he's a little bit more known, depending on how old you are. Now, if you're a young guy, if you're a guy who likes to watch the drafts, it actually doesn't matter at all ages. That was complete cap what I just said. The age doesn't matter. It's just how into college football you are. Number 2, C.J. Stroud, a rookie. Now, this guy is balling out. Scored 22 points last week. Not a big deal. Just kidding. He scored 34 actually. Ooh, there's a little bit of audio mess up right there. Let me read you his points. 7 points week 1. Rough first week of the NFL career. Number 2, 23 points. Week 3, 29 points. Week 4, 33 points. Now, if he continues with this current trend, it's going to be huge. I'm not saying it's going to continue with this current trend because that's not how math works. But C.J. Stroud, a guy you can find on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues, a quarterback that's just outside the top 10 and is only rising, and you'll be able to find him, not trade for him. A good backup quarterback, if you have a guy like Josh Allen like me, somebody who you've thought about trading, silly me. Trade Josh Allen? No chance I'm doing that anymore. He's my ride or die until he starts falling off a little bit. Then I might trade him. But anyway, he's my ride or die for now. He's like when you get on it's like an Uber. It's kind of like an Uber. Like when I'm not saying I'm crazy drunk ever because I'm underage and I don't do that stuff. But I can imagine if you're really, kind of buzzed, you don't feel like driving, which is a smart choice, mind you, and you get in an Uber, you might feel like that Uber is your ride or die for the whole night. You might think like that Uber's what you're going to be your transportation for your entire night worth of partying. Maybe you'll even get the Uber driver to join in. And, about 2 hours into the journey, your Uber driver decides this is not it, charges you and dips and goes home and falls asleep on his single apartment or his single room apartment, right? It's kind of that thing. So Josh Allen is that kind of ride or die, right? Anyway, if you have a quarterback who seems like a ride or die, but is actually just a 2 a.m. Uber ride, and you are actually that Uber driver that might not be so into the Uber ride in a couple weeks, right? Kind of what I'm saying. CJ Stroud's a great pickup. A guy who's just on the come up, and I love it. And my number one pickup for this week. I bet you can't guess what it is. I bet you can't guess who it is. He starts with J, ends with Herbie. Just kidding. Justin Herbert's not available in most leagues, but I would like to shout out that in terms of fantasy quarterbacks, legit fantasy quarterbacks, Justin Herbert's one of the most consistent guys you can get in your league. No. Who I want to talk about is Brandon Ayuk. Not because you'll really be able to pick him up. Maybe not because you'll be able to trade for him. The most inconsistent guy, opposite of Justin Herbert, is Brandon. This guy's a weirdo. He's going up against the Dallas defense next week. Don't start him. Going up against Cleveland defense next week. Cleveland defense is sneaky good. Don't start him. The next week goes up against Minnesota's defense. Really bad. Start him. That's kind of my thing. Now, maybe you start him next week and hope for a miracle. I might do that. But what I'm saying is, if you have Brandon Ayuk or have the ability to trade for Brandon Ayuk, this is a big thing. This is a 2-week trade. I'm really doing these trades that are like, trade for him in a couple weeks. Brandon Ayuk is a guy you'll want to trade for in 2 weeks when he plays the Vikings defense, because the Vikings defense is not good, and I expect huge points. So those are 3 kind of keep your eye on trade guys who did really well this week. Top points for this week was Christian McCaffrey at 48. I mean, God, he's just a lightning bolt. He's so electric. Not that you're going to be able to trade for him, and if you have him on your team, never. He is the fundamental core of the league, right? Don't trade him away. But David Montgomery, my number one guy, I really want to see you guys get him. Now let's go through the top scores. This is, it's not going to be as helpful because you won't be able to see a lot of people, right? Or you won't. What am I trying to say? You won't be able to see like everybody, right? That are trade options. Obviously, Josh Allen's not going to really be a trade option anyway, unless it's a blockbuster trade, which is something I've thought about, or like a waiver wire option. They're not going to be those guys. Waiver wire, in case you guys don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know that. If you've been living under a fantasy rock, so to speak, waiver wire is free agents. If you don't know what free agent is, look it up. I'm not explaining that. So not all these guys are going to be free agent guys you can pick up, but some of them will, and that's why we go through this, because some of them are just like, yeah, obviously, and some of them are like, holy guacamole, you know what I'm saying? Let's start it off right away. I don't know what's going on. Something's screwed up. Like, it's like the projections are... Something's going on. I'm trying to look at all players, all stats, and it's giving me the wrong numbers. It's not giving me correct numbers, because I know... Okay, here we go. Okay, top quarterback of the week, Josh Allen, 51 points. Legit why I won my league. Good work. Number 2, Justin Fields, finally has a good week against the historically bad Denver Broncos defense. This is the first time in my 16, almost 17-year life. Shout out myself. My birthday's in 5 days, October 6th. Save the date. Send me a virtual birthday present. Just got Venmo, by the way, at your boy, number 1. Just kidding, that's not actually my Venmo. I don't have Venmo, but you should give me money for my birthday. Anyway, in my almost 17-year life, I've never seen a Broncos defense this bad, One of the big reasons I'm a Broncos fan is because I love watching them win. I'm not going to say I'm a bandwagon. I'm more like a four guy quartet wagon type of guy, right? That might be a tough analogy. I like to make analogies. That might be a bit of a tough one. A quartet. A quartet's like the people they're like, I'm singing about. Okay. So that's not going to be the quality of a quartet, obviously. But it's those people that dress up in like suits and stand by the barber shop and they're like, that type of thing. It's right. They're not really a band. They're like a step down from a band. And so I'm not a bandwagon. I'm a step down from a bandwagon. Basically, I'm a family wagon. My family chose for me to make me a Broncos fan. Shout out Grandma Sue. I'm not sure if my grandma listens to these podcasts. I really hope she does. I love you, Grandma. But you're what made me a Bronco fan. So anyway, not necessarily a bandwagon. But in my life, they've always been good. And now they've been, except for the last 8 years of my life. So their defense has always been good is what I'm trying to say. And now it's not. And now their offense is cooking. And Russ is low-key cooking. And Russ is playing some of the best games of his life. And Russ is the number 6 quarterback in fantasy. And Russ is throwing for more touchdowns through week 4 this season than through week 13 last season. And somehow Russ is still getting hate. And this pisses me off, obviously. But it doesn't matter because the Broncos are finally playing well on offense, and we just can't do anything on defense. And it shows because Justin Fields, who's having an absolute stinker of a season, he looks like a porta potty with extremely fast legs out there. It's been sucking, and he just dropped a big fat bomb on the Broncos. It sucks. I'm pissed. It makes me mad. But the Broncos won, so I don't really care. And Justin Fields is not a guy that you want to start next week. Until he does that 2 games in a row, don't start him. Don't pick him up. Don't come by my house. We're not friends anymore. It's that type of thing, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to every Wimpy kid. That's where that came from. Number 3 was Jalen Hurts, and number 4 was my guy in the quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud. I already talked about him a lot, and I'll talk about him a little bit more. Freaking baller. There's really no quarterbacks that we need to talk about, like, absolutely sucking. Mac Jones absolutely sucked. He's been having a really good fantasy year, and he dropped you 1.2 points. So, classic Mac Jones, you know. I mean, you can't have a... I got a little bit of flack last week from saying that my dad had a dad bod. There's nothing wrong with dad bods. In fact, a majority of the female population seems to find them a little bit attractive. Oh, the majority of population over 25 I've found in my scrolling of Instagram. It seems the older the girls get, the more they like the dad bod. So it's not a bad thing when you're a dad with a dad bod, right? Because you probably have a wife who likes it. So I just want to say, Dad, I didn't mean it to be bad. But for Mac Jones, who's like 22 years old and in the NFL, no, he should not have a dad bod. If he has the body of my father or of any father that I know, which I don't think I mean, maybe some, but most of my friends' dads are not the most fit guys in the world, right? Mac Jones should not have the body of one of those guys. And it showed this weekend with the 1.2 fantasy points. Disappointing Mac Jones. Lose some weight. Freaking mac and cheese, more like, gosh dang it. You eat too much food. Okay, let's move. Let's go to running backs. Running backs for this week. Well, Christian McCaffrey just knocked it out of the park with 51. David Montgomery, my guy, 37. Devon Achane, what the heck? Where is that? 2 weeks in a row he drops 30? Or he dropped like 60 and then 30? Holy cow. I'm picking him up right now. I'm like moving to pick him up as we speak. Because he's available in like every league. And if he's going to be doing that crap, no way I don't have him on my team, right? I'm dropping Deebo Samuel in this league. Didn't give me that many points. I'm a little disappointed. He only got me 0.6. I have Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams and Mike Evans already in that league, so I can afford to drop a receiver. And there's not really in that. This is why I'm doing this in this league. I have Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert. I'm gonna wait to play both of them. I think for a couple weeks. I'm gonna take them both out of my starting lineup because that league is really the only league I might lose in. And I'm gonna play it, right. If you have 2 good legit running backs in fantasy football, you kind of have to play which one's gonna be the better player, right? So I'm gonna give it a little bit of time, and then I'm gonna make my decision based off who seems to be getting most of the carries in the games. It's that kind of situation. You feel me? You smelling what I'm stepping in, folks? Good. I hope you are good because it's good because it feels good, looks good, and plays good to step in what I'm talking about. All right. I do want to shout out one thing real quick. Good trade by Morgan Mock. Morgan, I don't know if you listen to my podcast, but I traded you Puka Nacua for I ended up getting Tony Pollard. You know, I gave him a little bit more players. I got a star, right? Well, Puka ended up dropping 31. He's going to be one of the receivers we start the top receivers list with. Anyway, Morgan, I hope you're happy that you stole 31 points from me while Tony Pollard got 9, because that's sort of a big deal, okay? I hope you're happy. I'm happy for you, sort of. I kind of wish I got Puka, but I also have Cooper Kupp is kind of the reason I felt okay trading Puka, because once Cooper Kupp comes back, I'm going to trust Cooper Kupp to get the carries more than Puka anyway, you know? Y'all feeling me. So that's kind of why I did that. I'm not really sure if it's going to work out from the end, but it's a good thing, kind of like the running backs. So let's get right into the receivers, huh? Just close out the Fantasy app. Well, you know what they say. The day Fantasy Avenue starts editing is the day it becomes fake. And gosh dang it, I will never make this podcast fake. Okay, let's go to receivers. The top receivers of the week. I already talked about Puka. I don't believe he's the first. I don't believe he's the top receiver. Is he? No. The top receiver of last week is... Well, would you look at that? It's not Puka. It's A.J. Brown, a 40 bomb for A.J. Brown, who has had a frustrating fantasy season, not getting the ball. You know, those receivers can be a bit of divas. They can have a little bit of a pageant energy, I would like to say. A.J. Brown is kind of that guy. But what a week he had. He had a winning week. Number 2, Stephon Diggs. Holy crap, did Buffalo blow Miami out of the water. It makes the Broncos 70-20 loss to Miami even more disappointing, considering the Bills can beat them 48-20. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Number 3, Nico Collins, who is a freaking unit. Nico Collins, Houston receiver. It makes it a little bit hard to trust Tank Dell. Talked about him a lot last week against Shout-Out Zatari. So that's a little concerning for Tank Dell fans, but it's something to keep an eye on. Nico Collins is another guy to add. That offense is just prolific for some reason with a rookie quarterback. I think the Houston Texans have finally figured out how to do something. And number 4 is Puka. Yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about. I kind of walk the talk, or talk the walk. Okay. I don't know what I was trying to do there. Let's go to tight ends. Travis Kelce not leading the league. What the heck, Travis Kelce? Get on your freaking horse. The thing with tight ends is there's so much inconsistency in Travis Kelce is going to get you around a good amount of points every week. Top tight ends, Cole Kmet against that Broncos defense. Yeah, screw that guy. Mark Andrews, number 2, who is basically the number 2 tight end in the league. And Jay Smith. I don't even know his first name. Jonu. Oh, yeah, I do know him. Look at this. This is crazy. The NFL Fantasy app has him rostered in 0.2% of leagues. So 2 out of every 1,000 leagues, he's even on a team. He dropped 15 points. Jonu Smith, great guy. Do not add him. This is not my invitation to add him. There's no consistency with this man. Let me rate you his points. Yeah, 0, 8, 8, 15. I mean, he gets you some consistency, but he wasn't even targeted in the first game, so not exactly the guy. Dude, he's a good-looking dude, though. I will tell you what. NFL players are pretty good-looking, and that guy has it going on for him. Proud of him. That's the tight ends. Let's go to kickers and defense real quick. This episode is kind of wrapping up. I really enjoy this. The number 1 defense, again, the Cowboys. Holy shoot. The Cowboys, I don't know what's going on. They had a bad week last week against the Cardinals, and then they just freaking fin a ball. You know, like we fin a ball. That was a crazy game. 27 points. Other defenses, I actually, across 4 leagues, this is pretty crazy. I started the Cowboys defense, the Jaguars defense twice, which got me 20 points in both leagues, and the Ravens defense in the other one, which got me 17. I'm a defensive guru. I play the waiver wire. I pick up who I think is going to do good, not necessarily who is the best defense, even though the Cowboys is the best. And so I'm kind of different like that. I talked about that strategy. It's a good strategy. It requires some NFL knowledge, so it's not for the faint of heart or the faint of bravery, so to speak. But it's a dang good strategy. Finally, let's go on kickers. Is there any? Yeah, 16 points for Jake Elliott. Cool. Good job. I do want to say, Morgan, shout out Morgan again. He alerted me. Matt Gay, who had a crazy week last week, 1 point this week. Yeah, there's definitely some inconsistency with kickers. It's all about matchups, folks. All about matchups. Okay, that might be the end of the episode. It was a short episode. It was an enjoyable episode. I felt good talking. I felt like I made some good jokes. I felt like I had fun with y'all. I'm in a calm mood. Guess what? I left my computer at my house again. What the heck? Freaking, can we have a computer in the office? Jesus. That's pissed me off. I don't want to end the episode on that bad moment, so I'm going to think of one more thing to talk about, because I do hate losing my computer. Final thing. It's in the college world. How about them Oregon Ducks? Holy guacamole. We are dang good at football. All right, signing off. This is Mikey Andersen. This has been Mikey Andersen. This is still, obviously, Mikey Andersen still, obviously. But this has been me. This has been Fantasy Avenue. Say it with me. Your road to fantasy football victory. There you go. Good call out. And, hey, that's going to be the episode. Take care. Have fun with dinner. Have fun with Fortnite. Peace out.